look up. Look way up. Greetings, prisoners of gravity. This is Commander Rick with all the late-breaking news about comics and science fiction. So strap in, space cadets. I'll be back. Rising anti-Semitism in Eastern Europe has voted English-only sign. 40,000 tons of armed with PCBs blew up the ozone layer today.
Standing by for solid rocket booster separation.
Well, friends, the recession may have slowed new home startups, but comics and speculative fiction are booming. The new X-Men comic sold close to 7 million copies. The original superhero, Superman, has 4 monthly titles going. Action Comics, Superman Comics, Man of Steel, and The Adventures of Superman. That's a new story every week. And they're all edited by Mike Carlin. But Mike's putting together a brand new project called The Psycho. Nancy, get me a line to DC. We're going to talk... No, DC Comics. Aha, Mike, it's the Commander. What can you tell me about The Psycho?
Psycho is basically set in a world where these superpowered beings gravitate towards working in the Secret Service, and because that's where the money is, and they're good at what they do, as a lot of characters say. Jake Riley, who is the main protagonist of the story, is a guy who works in the Secret Service who doesn't have superpowers. He's being squeezed out by all the superpowered operatives that are being hired, and he hates the superpowered guys. He can't stand them. When you work for the Secret Service and you're phased out, it's not like you just go to unemployment and get a paycheck. They basically try to rub you out because you know too much and all that. This forces Jake Riley to become the thing he can't stand the most, which is one of the superpowered beings, which are called psychos in this universe.
You've built in so much conflict, you won't need villains. Who's working on the book?
James D. Hudnall of Esper's fame and Interface and unauthorized biography of Lex Luthor fame pitched this idea to me about 3 years ago, actually before he did the Luthor bio, and we've been working on it for that long. The story has been around and really good for a long time. We spent a lot of time trying to find the right artist for it, rejecting a lot of guys both of us found, and we just weren't happy with them. About 2 years ago, Dan Brereton was at the Oakland comic book convention, and he bumped into James, and they got along like, you know, a house on fire, and literally the next week we signed Dan onto the project, and he's been painting Psycho to death. I mean, it's a gorgeous looking book. Dan's known for the Black Terror that he did with Eclipse, and I just think his stuff is going to knock people out. He's got a very, very exciting palette. He chooses a lot of strange and almost obnoxious color combinations, but it really just, it's so vibrant that, I mean, people are going to be knocked out by this book.
Sounds really exciting. Thanks, Mike. The strongest story from DC this year was the graphic novel Enemy Ace. George Pratt's powerful, heartfelt story shows that whether you're flying a Fokker triplane or flushing out a Viet Cong tunnel, war is hell. Since Enemy Ace, George has drawn a half-dozen covers for Batman while researching a book on African mythology and another project that fuses his two loves, art and the blues. George told me about it a few weeks back, and my computer, Nancy, has the highlights.
The blues thing is, I like blues music, and actually I want to record a compact disc to go with it that'll be like the lost tracks of this old blues man, and it'd be like have a scratch track on it, recorded in mono, you know. And I'm trying to, I want to talk to, try and get in touch with John Renborn and see if he'll play guitar on it. And then have, you know, get someone to sing and just have a really fun time with it. But like make no excuses, like just do it straight, almost like a 24-hour comic, but not with the time limitation. if there's a mistake, just let it go, you know. Let it be real grassroots, printed on cheap paper, you know, black and white with almost like cages with the color, you know, limited color. But on really cheap paper, make it really, you know, like it would fall apart in your hands, almost intentionally, you know. And just have this really cool story about hunting out this old blues man. And it's not that he's a fantastically, amazingly great musician, but here's someone who, you know, was good and who's lost, you know. And there's only so many surviving tracks. And it's not that, you know, he's going to change the face of blues by having found these old tracks. It's just, look, here's a story. Here's another tale that has been lost, you know, and someone who's good, you know, and listen to what he had to say about it, you know. And I think it'd be really fun.
Fun? What a concept. Yeah, more and more artists and writers are abandoning monthly deadlines and regular paychecks to create small personal titles or one-shot graphic novels. And more of these small underground comics are being turned into huge Hollywood projects. In 1990, it was the Ninja Turtles. In 91, the Rocketeer. And this fall, look for a new animated TV series based on the comic Bucky O'Hare. Bucky is like, imagine Bugs Bunny does Captain Kirk.
Bucky, I have a fix on that distress signal.
Good work, Jenny. What have we got?
Sensors show the signal coming from inside a towed slave ship, and I detect 6 escort fighters.
Just 6? Attention all hands, battle stations. Get ready for some righteous toe tag with a squadron of towed fighters.
Them's magic words, Bucky, my boy. It's been too long since old Dead-Eye Duck got to croak some toadies.
Bucky O'Hare started out as a short feature in a comic called Echo of Future Past, written by Larry Hama, artwork by Michael Golden, music by Moody Blues. The early stories have been re-released in a graphic novel from Continuity Associates.
There's a little boy in this universe, this strange universe called the Earth universe, who has built this machine. And it's a proton accelerator. Of course, proton accelerators are usually about 2 miles wide, but he built one in his room. And he switches his proton accelerator on just at the very time that Bucky O'Hare and the doughty crew of the Righteous Indignation, with Jenny, the Aldebaran witch, Blinky, the little robot assistant, Bruce the Berserker Baboon, Dead-Eye Duck, the four-armed duck, four-armed is forewarned, throw on their proton accelerator in order to escape this massive attack of these toads. And when they throw on their proton accelerator, slightly defective, and Willie throws on his proton accelerator, slightly defective, they form a dimensional bridge between the deck of the Righteous Indignation, the ship on which Bucky flies and captains, and the doorway to Bucky's room becomes the hatch, in effect, between the two dimensions. So Willie DeWitt, surprised that his room has been thrown into darkness, and he goes over to the window and he sort of pushes at this stuff that seems very much like week old blackberry gelatin, discovers he can't go out his window. He opens the door and suddenly he's in a universe of funny animals. And not only is he in a universe of funny animals, this universe of funny animals are fighting this terrible battle with these computer-controlled toads. And Bucky and the Righteous Indignation there are only 2 other ships that have joined this force against these toads, and they have to thwart Complex, who is or which is the computer that is controlling all these toads to wipe out the universe.
Can't you just see all those serious network executives discussing all that? Neal told me that Bucky, like the Ninja Turtles, is a toy-driven cartoon. So look for Bucky t-shirts, action figures, breakfast cereals, and Bucky-shaped SpaghettiOs. Waiter, there's an O'Hare in my soup. There'll be more animation on the tube this season. The network saw the profits from The Simpsons, and they had a cow, and then they had a dog and a fish. Family Dog is from Steven Spielberg's 1986 TV series Amazing Stories. The original Pooch was designed by Batman director Tim Burton. I also hear rumors that Tim wants to turn the Japanese comic Mai the Psychic Girl into a live-action movie.